Good morning, gang. Good morning. Welcome back to this week's Bitcoin update. First and foremost, remember, nothing discussed today is financial advice. It's just for educational purposes only. And now that's out of the way, let's jump into the chart, shall we? So we've had another interesting week. Looking at it on the daily chart, it just looks like another sideways week. But within this, we have had a couple of good trade setups, and then a few not so good trade setups. But that's what it is. We trade what we're given. So what we're going to do, like usual, we're going to jump in to the charts, talk about the setups that we've been taking in the group and publicly on YouTube, why we took them, where we took them, what worked, what didn't work, and then we will move on to what we're looking at next. Okay, so first and foremost, we're going to start off with the public YouTube setup that we gave you last week. So once again, for the second week in a row, we'll give you another nice swing fairly pattern to trade. Okay, so the week before was trading the previous swing fairly pattern. Obviously, if you caught that shot back down to the range lows, great stuff, well done. And once again, we were talking last week, one of the options, and again, I'm not going to LARP here, I'm not going to say it's the only option we had, because we had a couple of options, but one of the options, one out of the three, was another swing fairly pattern of this high. Okay, and what did we get? We got the swing fairly pattern of the high, took out the highs, nice and easy. Now, some will call this a failed rally, some will call it a swing fairly pattern. It all depends what time frame you're looking on. I don't really care. The concept is the same. We took out these highs, took the liquidity from this. People then started longing the breakout, and in the end, got the nice pullback, straight back into the golden pocket, so you didn't have to catch the absolute peak. Okay? And, you know, trying to catch this is the same as trying to catch a falling knife. It's exactly the same concept. You know, well, you don't know, sorry, if FOMO is going to kick in and continue to push price up. So therefore, wait for it to pull back in, back up retest into the golden pocket region, which lines up with the breakout region in itself, and then you get your nice entry. So in the end, we traded this down to the local range lows down here. So depending on your entry, you got yourself a nice 6-hour trade there. It still has the potential to be a swing trade if you haven't closed it fully. I personally haven't closed it fully. I have taken some off the table. My stops are at entry now, so obviously if it does travel up now, price does start to come up and take me out, absolutely fine. Then I'll look for my higher entries again. Okay, all we're doing is trading level to level. We're trading what we're given, okay, not what we ideally want. So again, if you caught that trade, 6R in the bag, beautiful trade. Okay, so that's the first one. Now, second one was, we're on like 15 minutes, so nice and easy. Right, so this was based on the weekend. Now, Sunday evening, you guys know, I come into the group, lay out my plans, and because we had another sideways weekend after the big sell-off, we had another sideways weekend. So my initial thoughts are weekend highs or weekend lows, and my initial thoughts for a quick sweep, if given, okay? So what happened? We had the weekend lows, we had the weekend highs. Now, what I'm looking for is what happens first. Either take the weekend highs, do you get that as a nice swing fairly pattern, or do you get the weekend lows? And you got that as a nice swing fairly pattern, okay? In the end, we got the weekend lows. Now, this didn't happen until mid-morning on the Monday, so we didn't actually wake up to it, which makes a change, because that's what normally happens. Now, in the end, we came down, we took out the weekend lows, got a nice bounce out of it, then we came back into the golden pocket region, and then we got the entry, okay? Now, in the end, this wasn't an ideal trade. In the end, it was a great setup, but it didn't play out perfectly because it failed to get back above this point of control, okay? So if you did fully close out of it, then you got yourself, loosely speaking, a 2-hour trade out of that. Now, I didn't fully close out of this, so therefore, by the time it came back down and stopped me out at entry, it ended up being loosely just under 1-hour trade. So yeah, not great, but this is what happens. But the beauty of this is the idea was right. We just didn't get any follow through because this was a big significant level, which we was aware of in the group. Okay, so in the end, small trade, but still a win. So I can put that in my journal as a win. Doesn't really change my capital because it's only a very small win in the end. But there you go. And you know, that's an example of me being transparent and the fact that not everything's a perfect trade. Not everything's a perfect, you know, great 10-hour trade. Because it's not how it works. Okay? Sometimes the market goes against you. And that's what happened in the end. But you got a little trade out of that. Okay? Now, that's following into Tuesday. Now, Tuesday was one of those days where it catches a lot of people off guard. Okay? Now, what do I mean by that? Well, we did a Twitter post about this. And we can see on this, slow bleed price action will catch most people offside, okay? I caught the bottom, stopped. Caught it this time, stopped. Definitely got it this time, stopped. Price then moves, okay? And I'm even telling the guys on Twitter, publicly, okay, just have patience and wait for the market to show some strength first or have a decent flush of positions, okay? That's what I'm looking for. So when you start to see this real slow grind down of price, it tends to catch a lot of people offside. Even experienced traders, it catches people offside, because when you actually look at order flow, each one of these lows does genuinely look quite good, because every time it takes a new low, it stops out the people that longed the first low. So therefore you get plenty of excess down here and it looks like that's a good bottom. But then it does it again, and then it does it again, and then it does it again. And again, these people are these people here, catching the bottom every single time. So in this, I'm telling the guys, I've got no interest in longing unless I see a sign of strength or we have a big flush. Okay? So therefore, what do I want to see? Well, I either want to see this low created, and then I want to see a change of structure. So therefore, I've got an opportunity for a long. Okay? So that's what I either want to see. When it price actions like this is what I want to see. I either want to see this, or I want to see what happened here. So we're just grinding down, grinding down, grinding down. Oop. Didn't mean to click. Grinding down, just ever so slightly. And then all of a sudden, after all this grinding, we had big flush. And on this big flush, we had a significant volume spike. A lot of positions got closed out. Open interest dropped off a cliff. Okay, bear in mind, there was a lot of positions building here. People expecting this to go up. Okay, as well as the bottom shorting bears that are shorting into the local range lows. But either way, a lot of positions going in this. And in the end, got the flush down, and then we had a nice spring back. Okay, so this is what I'm saying on Tuesday morning. Big resistance on the chart is 30.3, which is between this point of control and this value area high. Big resistance, because obviously we've seen it earlier in the week. Okay, and then to the downside, the same levels as previously mentioned, 29.5k first. Okay, now I'm saying it's not high confluence level, it is just the local range lows. We can see here is the local range lows. Now on most exchanges it did take out this low, but on spot it didn't take out this low. Okay, so for me it's not a high probability setup, but in the end it did happen, and if you caught it, great stuff. Now I'm not going to sit here and laugh and say that I caught this. I know a lot of the guys in the group caught this, but I didn't catch this. I actually got in back when we retested back down at these lows. Okay, so if you caught the whole move up to where we are right now, and we've just hit that point of control live on screen, there you go, you got yourself a 5-hour trade. If you didn't get in there, then you could have still got yourself a 5-hour trade. Okay, up to where we're at now. Right now we're at major resistance in my eyes. Start to get above this and things change. Okay, but you need to get above this. So that's running through the plans. Now, obviously, if you guys want access to these plans and access to the education that teaches you how to make your own plans, then first and foremost, you need to come over to spitfiretraders.com. The link's down in the description below. Okay? Get access to our free Discord here, if you like. And then, obviously, if you do want access to all the modules, where we've got so many modules now, it's unreal. We've got everything from absolute basics, range plays, Fibonacci, volume, patterns, how to actually enter the trade, one of the hardest parts, Elliott wave theory, psychology, There's so much stuff now in here. We started working on the traditional markets now on Forex. We'll be adding to the modules next week. We've got another stream lined up for Tuesday. And you'll also get access to our chat and chill streams as well, where I plan out my high time frame swing trades and also my low time frame day trades on Bitcoin, stocks, Forex, altcoins, everything. Okay. And all that will cost you the grand old price of $59.95 Great British pounds. Okay, so if you're working in US dollars, that's $75. Now the beauty of this is we've recently been updated on 2 groups now that are taking my daily trading plans and selling them in their own group and charging $200 a month for the privilege, which is near as damn it word for word taken from our group, which is why we're confident in knowing that they're taking our trade. So they pay me $75 and then they charge you $200. So it's a good sign that we're doing something right when other paid group leaders really can't come up with their own ideas and they take our own. So I'm not bitter about that. I just find it quite entertaining. Right, before we move on to what we're looking at next, a quick word from today's video sponsor. Big thanks once again to BingX, cryptocurrency exchange. Not only can you trade crypto, but you can also trade FX, commodities and indices. And the beauty of these guys is it's a no KYC exchange. So for you guys that live in places where you can't get access to KYC exchanges, like Bybit, for example, the other exchange that we use, then this is a good option. And if you do use our link down in the description, not only does it support the channel sponsor, but you also can get yourself some nice bonuses as a reward as well. So there's deposit bonuses, there's trading bonuses, there's all sorts. There's even a free position as well if you deposit over $100. So yeah, thanks to BingX for sponsoring today's video. Okay, right, let's move on to what we're looking at next. Okay, so low time frame, just to really quickly recap on that. What we've got to be aware of is where we are right now. If we start to clear above this, then we've got a very thin, inefficient move there. Okay? So that's something you need to be aware of. So if we do start getting above here, then we could move through this region fairly fast, and we can see that from the volume profile. You know, all the volume is down here and here, in between empty space. Okay, so it's something that you need to be aware of, but that's low time frame stuff. And I save the low time frame in-depth details for the guys in the group. So, high time frame, where are we? Well, we are still range bound. We are still within this greater range. Okay, let's just move this on so we'll see this. We're still within this greater range. Yes, we've had all these deviations at the top, okay, which again, all of them have caught people offside because people are long in this breakout. Okay, so if we come back up here, what happens at the range highs again? Okay, again, that thin move that we were just discussing. Last volume node up in towards the range highs. Okay, did we get a rejection? Great, well, we've got a short entry. If we don't get a rejection and it starts breaking up again, then once again, this could be the third time in a row, but we've got the next opportunity for another swing failure pattern. If we start to get up here, get back below it, another swing failure pattern. So then we've had this swing failure pattern of this high. Then we've had this swing failure pattern of this high, this swing failure pattern of this high. Do we get it again? It's getting a bit too repetitive now, though. So when something works every single time, you've always got to be cautious. Okay, so if you get this, great. If it doesn't and it continues up, then once again, we're looking back into this old range. Okay, so let's draw this old range on for you. Okay, and there to there. In fact, I'm going to move that down slightly. Incorporate more price action. There we go. Okay. So above here is dead space. So that's what you got to think of. On the volume profile, it's very empty. The only part within this that you need to be aware of, need to pay attention to, just in case you get some sort of good reaction, is this level here. Because we know there's going to be resting liquidity above this. So you've got to be aware of that level there. Okay. If you get a deviation around that level, you potentially get yourself a short setup. If not, then we're just looking back up to this range. And once again, eyes are on that 38 to 40k level. If it starts clearing above that, then you are just trading this range. Okay? And you can be looking for deviations at the highs, deviations at the lows, and you just trade this range. Just like we traded this range. Just like we've been trading this low time frame range here. Okay? So that's what you got to the upside. Okay? Now, let's say that the range highs do hold, and this starts to roll over. What happens if it starts to roll over? Well, first and foremost, you got your EQ. Okay, once again, it's another thin move up. Okay, so don't put too much confidence in that EQ. It could give a reaction. If it does, great, low time frame change. Get yourself in there. If not, and it starts rolling over, then we're looking back down at range lows. Okay, if it starts losing these range lows, then looking for these lows. Starts getting below that, then we start talking about the previous macro range that we had. Okay, do we get acceptance back into here and then start to roll over? If we do, then we've got to be aware of set regions. We've got the EQ. We've got these key lows here. Okay, these are significant lows because people that are trailing the stop loss up will have the stop losses below these lows, just like these lows here. Okay, you've got to be aware of that. If it starts rolling over further, then it range lows. And all you're doing, if it's accepted back into here, we're just back to trading this range. Okay, with an emphasis on the EQ. Okay, so you're not just degenerately shorting the highs and hoping that it's going to get all the way to the lows. You've got to see what happens at key levels on the way down. Again, watch the previous videos where we talk about throwing on volume profile so you can see where the bulk of the volume is on these moves and use that volume profile to aid you. Okay, and that's it. Very short and sweet update today. Straight to the point. Hopefully you guys have learned something. If you have, hit that like button for me. Let us know down in the comments. If you're not subscribed, consider subscribing and don't forget to hit that bell notification so therefore you see these updates in real time, because again, another Thursday we may see some more volatility coming into the market based on where we are. Okay, right, that'll do, gang. Until next time, bye bye.